Coach. What was the most frustrating thing when you go back and looked at the entire game against Kansas?
I think the frustrating thing is just having a great opportunity to win a game and take a step forward and not getting it done. And we had plenty of chances. Certainly, we were in the game. There's a lot of different things that could have gone a different way to put us over the top in that one. And we got to have growth from it, but it's frustrating to let one of those go too.
Scott, along those lines, you talked about this last couple of games. It's been a few plays here or there that maybe could have swung for you guys in your favor to maybe help you guys get a win. What do you guys need to do to kind of get over that hump, maybe to make those plays kind of turn in your favor?
I think just keep putting ourselves in that situation. We do not have a team that thinks we're in this situation, we're not going to win this. I love that about this team. They expect to get it done. We just haven't been in that situation enough yet. We got to keep putting ourselves in a situation, give ourselves chances, and it's going to work out. We got a lot of guys on this team that are playing significant roles, probably for the first time in their career, and there's some growth that goes along with that. It's better to grow if you can find a way to get one done and get better from that. We did that week one. We didn't do it Saturday. But the growth is obvious, and it's going to keep moving forward.
Coach, whether it's the first quarter against Kansas State or the third quarter against Kansas, how do you avoid a detrimental quarter like that?
It's, watching the third quarter again, you can't feel like you have to thread the needle with being in perfect things against what they're doing. We kind of came out of halftime having run the ball really well in the first half, and we tried to hit a couple runs that had worked really well early in the game. We didn't block a couple right, and that hurt us. And I just feel like when things are going really well for us and momentum's going, we're doing really well. We have trouble kind of arresting the negative momentum and overcoming it. Probably a sign of a young team too, but we let kind of one bad play and one bad series lead to another, and next thing you know, we're in the fourth quarter. Same thing at Kansas State. There was a couple misreads, a couple bad decisions, and not getting anything started. When we get drives going, this team has been really good to keep the momentum going, and we go down and score. We got to get that first time.
Coach, second and goal from the one. You're coming out of the timeout. What's the conversation like during that 2-minute timeout about that sequence of plays?
Yeah, I wish I could go through the litany of things that were going through my mind at that point. We had first and goal at the 6. We ran a play and got close to the goal line. First thought was to run a tempo play and just knock it in. Ended up looking at the clock and thinking, well, we got to try to limit their time a little bit, so let's slow this down, try to get it at least to the 2-minute warning. We had some creative plays down there that I think would have worked. But then in my mind, I said, we're at the half-yard line. We can get this in. If you give us 3 chances, we're going to get it in. My mistake calling a sneak from a squeeze formation. They brought everybody down inside, and we couldn't get any movement. Second play wanted to get it in Miles' hands, and we didn't get enough movement. And then third play, fourth down, we were kind of, that's not where you want to be. You want to get it in on one of the other two, and that's my fault. I should have been more creative. I just, in the situation, thought from a half-yard, we can run something basic, we're going to get a half-yard.
Coach, 2 games in now, you have 1 conference game home, 1 away. What do you take so far from the Big 12, like the league? Can you feel like the intensity is increased with the conference play? And do you feel like the team has adjusted to what it truly takes to win in this conference week in and week out?
Well, I love this conference. There's going to be games like that every weekend. And you look across the conference and there are both teams with a good chance to win if you play well. I've said it a bunch, but if we play well, we're going to have a chance to win. If we don't play well, we're not. I hope we have enough talent that there's not too many people in the conference. I don't think they can just overwhelm us. So we're going to have an opportunity. We got to play well and find a way to win at the end. And that's not going to be our last opportunity in a game like that because I think the league is so evenly matched.
As the week begins, what's your availability like as far as the quarterback positions?
Still TBD on quarterbacks. Taven's X-rays and everything were negative, so it's the same thing as it was. We're gonna watch him as the week goes along. I think we'll have Jakari back this week, and Cam's healthy.
Coach, what's the biggest thing that you've learned in retrospect about Saturday night's game now that you've had a couple of days to reflect on it that maybe you weren't ready to talk about right after?
You know, I don't think there's too much other than we just need more opportunities to put some of our newer and younger players in situations like that and have them experience that and succeed in it. You know, you guys asked me about the penalties after the game, and you know, we didn't have false starts during the game until it got tight right there, and we had a couple guys make mistakes, and I think that's just being eager and not having been in that situation enough. You know, first time my dad took me fishing, told me when a fish took the hook, you have to be patient and wait for it to really take it before you set the hook. And I didn't do that because I was so excited in that situation that you pull the hook out of their mouth. And you know, after living for a while, then you realize this isn't a big deal. Let it happen and make it work. And I just think we got a little jittery a couple times. Kansas State, you know, at Kansas State this past week, get down games on the line, clutch situation. You know, the intensity's a little higher, and we have guys just false start. And we'll keep talking to them about it. But really, what it comes down to is experience. Having been there before and being in that situation and making it work. And we can't really replicate that situation.
Scott, injuries happen obviously in football, but how frustrating has it been for your quarterback room to have 3 guys be banged up and have to kind of, you know, maybe play a little bit shifting guys around for games because of injuries?
It's a unique situation I've never really dealt with as a coach before, having this much change at quarterback. And it's not just the season, it's been kind of all through spring ball and fall camp since we didn't have somebody kind of step up and take it. It's been a revolving door there in practice and now in games. And hopefully we have everybody else up and ready to be around the quarterback, whoever it is Saturday, so they can feel a little more comfortable.
Coach, Cincinnati coming off 2 big wins against both Kansas and Iowa State. What have you seen from them so far, and how do you slow down their offense that has been red hot for most 2 games?
Well, it's a team that's playing really well. I think they have a quarterback that's playing about as well as anybody in the league. They really own their system on both sides of the ball. It's impressive. Really impressive watching the improvement from game 1 to 2 to 3 to who they are now. You know, sometimes when you win a couple close games like they have lately, you know, you just get that momentum, and that's a powerful thing. But the improvement is obvious, and got a lot of respect for what their kind of season they're put together.
What's the impact of not having Horace Lockett on your team?
Yeah, Horace is a big loss. We're going to have to rely on some young guys again that haven't played as much to kind of fill that role, and have some other guys probably play a few more snaps. But he was an anchor for us inside, so more than anything, feel bad for Horace.
Can you comment on the job that Alex Grinch has done with the defense this year? This past week against Kansas, really holding them well under their averages and effectively really just giving up 20 points.
Yeah, they did. You know, I thought they played a great second half. You know, Kansas was going to put together some drives. They have an explosive offense, and we held them to field goals on 2 drives to keep us in the game, even as the offense was sputtering. And if we hadn't fumbled the ball and given it to them on the 1, you know, that was the difference in the game. So even at the end of the game, I thought our defense did a good job holding them to 3 and out and giving us another chance with 40 or 50 seconds left to go down and tie it up. So really impressed with defense against a good team. They're going to have their hands full again this week.
Having coached in 2 of these games, how do you view the rivalry of UCF and Cincinnati and how it's developed over the course of the decade or so?
Yeah, I have a lot of admiration for both universities and the progress they've made and the climbs they've made. You know, we had our run when I was here and played them twice. And after I left, you watched Cincinnati really turn into a playoff team. And then both teams had a chance to get elevated to another league. And I have a lot of confidence that both schools eventually will have a lot of success in this thing.
You mentioned earlier playing a lot of pressure guys. You also haven't been in these crunch time situation roles, but one of the people who have stood out is Wade and Charles, wide receiver. And you talked about the job that he's done being able to step up in his role wide receiver?
Yeah, I knew we had something good with Waden right away when I saw him in the spring. That's a process and growth. He's got a really bright future, and the more opportunities he gets, I think people will start to see the type of player that he can be. Anytime you're a freshman, there's peaks and valleys, and you get impatient sometimes when you're that age. But if you stay with it and you're made of the right stuff, then things work out in the end. And I think that's the path that he's on.
I kind of wanted to follow up on that. Speaking about the young players, what's that kind of evaluation going into conference play to determine if some of these guys deserve more playing time or not, stick with the older guys on the team?
Well, the more young guys we have capable of playing, the better off we are. We'd be a lot better outside at receiver. It really goes across the board if we can rotate more and keep guys fresh. And I think there's a big speed difference at the end of games with guys if they've played 40 snaps instead of 70 snaps. So we got to do a good job managing that and making sure guys are in the game early and get the feel for the game and try to keep guys fresher for the fourth quarter.
Coach, are you satisfied with the leadership in the room right now, trying send that message to stay the course here, we're really close?
Yeah, I think the guys all know that. Just based on what the guys said to me, I think they know that. I got asked a question last week about conference play and being 3-0 and then having it go the wrong way. That's not this group. That's not to say we're going to win or lose anyone, but this group's going to keep fighting. I know it because I know these guys. We might win this week, we might lose, and that's not going to change how we approach the next week. I think this group cares about each other, and they're going to keep fighting. And because of our experience, I think we're going to keep improving and have even better and better chances as the year goes on.
Yeah. The overall health of the team, talked about quarterbacks and losing Morris Wackerton. Otherwise, how's the health of the team so far going into this game?
Yeah, we have a lot of little things right now, and that's football. You look out on the field at the end of that game, and we didn't have DT out there, didn't have Marcus Burke out there, didn't have Caden Peening, didn't have Dylan Wade. That's why having guys like Waden and CJ and others is important because those guys have to go in and perform well. Coach Beck's done a great job getting them ready. That's football. There's a lot of people that are missing players. Luckily for us, we only have one or two that's season ending. We're going to get other guys back. So want those guys in the training room to keep going, and in the meantime, gives us an opportunity to get more guys playing experience.
Cincinnati, what have you seen from them defensively this season?
The Big 12 is kind of known for the 3-3 stack stuff. That's what Cincinnati does. They got some good players at every level. Really impressed with their nose guard when he's healthy. I think they got a couple linebackers that run and hit. Really impressed with number 9, the safety, comes down in the box and makes a lot of tackles if you don't account for him and have a hat for him. But across the board, they do a great job running to the ball and pursuing. And there's not a lot of easy things against them. So we're going to have to earn it, and our defenses have to keep us in it as we're slogging it out on the offensive side.
Thanks, everybody. Let's start with athletics.